Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a really sobering idea from the newspaper Dawn. The argument is that climate change isn't just an environmental issue, it's actually paving the way for a new world order, one where might literally makes right, and the scramble for resources could trigger a whole new kind of conflict.
So let's jump right in with this quote from our source. The idea here is that what we're seeing aren't just isolated conflicts anymore. No, this could be the start of a totally new global logic, a world where military power simply overrides international law. Okay, so the article kicks off with a pretty bold hypothetical scenario. What if the US were to invade Venezuela? Now, this isn't just about another regional conflict. The source presents this as a potential test case, a blueprint for a new age of resource wars. And you might be asking, why Venezuela? Well, it's because the country is sitting on one of the biggest proven oil reserves on the entire planet. And in a world where the energy transition is, complicated and super political, that oil becomes a massive strategic prize. And that's the real fear here, right? That this kind of military action wouldn't be a one-time thing. It sets a really dangerous precedent. Because if a country can just use force to grab resources, then that line between economic competition and, well, outright conquest, it basically disappears. So, how does one hypothetical conflict in South America connect to this huge global trend? Well, according to the article, climate change is the silent partner in this whole dangerous new way of thinking. Our source really lays out a chilling domino effect. First, climate change gets worse. That makes key resources, think water, farmable land, minerals, way more scarce. That scarcity, of course, creates intense competition. And finally, that competition becomes the justification for military action. And this just reframes the entire issue, doesn't it? Suddenly, climate change isn't just an environmental problem, it's a national security threat. It becomes this sort of quiet excuse for land grabs and military interventions, all conveniently packaged as stability operations. Now, for decades, we've had a whole framework of international laws designed to stop this exact law of the jungle scenario from happening. I mean, it wasn't perfect, not by a long shot, but it at least stood for a global ideal. And this just lays it out so clearly, the two paths we're facing. On one side, you have that post-war ideal of cooperation, of progress through mutual respect, and on the other, a pretty brutal reality where might makes right, and it's just survival of the fittest. Here's a really crucial point the article makes. When powerful countries act like the rules don't apply to them, they're not just breaking rules. They're teaching the rest of the world that rules are now optional, that accountability is, up for debate. And this decay of global norms, it doesn't just stay at the level of geopolitics. It trickles down, and it weakens the rule of law for everyone, everywhere. I mean, think about it. If international rulings can just be ignored, how long before domestic laws are treated with the same contempt? Okay, let's pivot now to South Asia, because this is a region where the stakes of this whole new might is right logic are just terrifyingly high. Seriously, South Asia is a perfect storm. It is incredibly vulnerable to climate change. You've got massive populations that all depend on the same shared rivers. There's a long history of conflict. And oh yeah, to top it all off, you have 3 neighboring nuclear powers. So in a world where might makes right, a simple disagreement over water rights isn't just a challenge for diplomats anymore. It can escalate fast into a full-blown security crisis with just unimaginable consequences. So what this all boils down to is that this isn't just about geopolitics. According to our source, we are right now fundamentally deciding what kind of future we're going to build. We are stepping into a brand new moral era. Okay, so we've seen the potential precedent, we've looked at the underlying cause, and we've considered the terrifying consequences. The article is pretty clear. More crises are coming. That's not really up for debate. The only real question is how we, as a global community, are going to respond. And that leaves us with this final, incredibly powerful question. Are we going to try and revive those hard-won ideals of cooperation and restraint? Or are we just going to abandon them for a future that's governed by pure force? It's a choice, as the author puts it, between foresight and the law of the jungle.